Okay, welcome everybody. Starting off the meeting today, appreciate everyone being here. Any additions to the agenda you have in front of you from anyone? I'll take that as a no. Okay, approval of the previous meeting minutes. First, can I get a second? All right, thank you very much. Any board member comments? Dave, Sandy? Okay. All right, with that, I'm going to turn it over to John to give your report.
Sure thing. So Lake Ranger contacts for the month of September were 6,313. That's a little bit up from the previous year of 5,859. Last month there were 381 removed, 390 contacts on the water, which was up quite a bit over the previous year, and 108 boat hours. As almost everybody's aware by now, I think the Loch Lomond drawdown is going to start on November the 3rd, and that will go through March 2nd. The target is going to be 3 inches per day. Of course, that's going to be determined by how much precipitation we get. But we are targeting a depth of 6 feet, so we hope to get that down as fast as possible. All that information is available on the lake's website. If you have not been there, a lot of that pertinent information as far as permitting and those sorts of things it's all up on the website now, thanks to our marketing department. Fall fish sampling is in full swing right now and ongoing. We've been running trap nets for the previous week. I know Chris is over at the lab right now putting together a set of experimental gill nets to go after threadfin shad in the very near future to kind of see where that threadfin population has ended up after a full growing season.
So you're sampling he's throwing gill nets to kind of sample what the population of threadfin shad is?
Yes, so we'll try to capture some threadfin. We should be able to, hopefully, if everything has gone really well, then we'll see several different size classes. That's going to mean we got to spawn off. We have our adults that we stocked back in the spring, early summer, and then we should see several different size classes in those nets, and then we'll run those experiments again perhaps in the spring, but certainly next fall, and we'll see what proportion we have left, what kind of size classes we're seeing at that point. Trout stocking will begin in November, just as soon as the water temperature is cooled off to do so. Generally we target about 64 degrees, but we're all ready to go on that. Last month's carp raffle winner was Mr. Phil Ward, and that is all I've got.
Okay. Any questions for John on any of the things that he's talked about today?
Question on the removals. How many of those were on the water?
I do not know off the top of my head. I can probably get that out of our data. I did not write it down on this paper, though. I apologize.
We're gonna have open forum in a minute, so you can ask your question. Anybody else on the committee? Anybody online have any questions for John? Okay. I'm gonna go to Max. You want to give an update on the Fly Tires Carp Tournament, which is scheduled to be had this Saturday?
Sure. The tournament is moving along. Really, I think we're in pretty good shape in getting everything ready. I've been on the wire or on the phone most of the morning getting everybody verified. I was up to 23, but found out there was a couple of duplications there and people backed out. But right now we're sitting at 18 verified, and maybe I'm expecting 2 or 3 more because it seems like a last minute thing, and I'm going to open the registration up until the morning we start. So I'll pass out these maps that I'm going to, just got 2 of them right now. These maps show where we've been chumming for the last month, really. We've got 2 places on Windsor, 3 on Ann, and 5 places on Loman. The chumming on Ann and Windsor are going really well. Over the weekend, I saw 15 carp at one time, all kind of stationary. So I know that the chumming has probably doubled the catch, and I'm guessing probably more because it's working extremely well. I think what we're going to see after the tournament is a lot of residual effect in the fact that the people that are seeing the result of the chumming are going to continue going after these carp. A lot of times they've not gone after them because they're going to wait until the tournament, but that residual was continue after the after the tournament. The schedule is 7:30 Saturday morning. We'll have a meeting. We'll have 3 officials, one at each lake. Meeting will start at 7:30, go over the rules, what is expected, the schedule for the day, and then we'll stop fishing at 3 o'clock, get all the fish measured. At 4 o'clock, we'll start our meeting at the dog park, what I'm calling the dog park. I think it is that pavilion behind Loch Lomond, and go over, the results, the prizes. We've got a lot of handouts. A lot of vendors are coming through with some giveaways, and this afternoon at 3 o'clock, I'm going to talk to the manager at Bass Pro, and they're going to come up with some stuff too. So it's going to be pretty good. Let's see. I do need a couple more officials. If anybody is, I could certainly use them. I had a conversation with Rick about bringing some trucks to the lakes to be available to put these carp in. I need to get with you, I guess, John, to see what that kind of looks like. I want to thank this committee. I'm hoping this is my last visit with you guys.
Hopefully you come back next month and give us a recap.
Well, I'll do that. But you're going to probably know what they are before I do. So, any questions from you guys as to what's happening, what we've done, what we're going to do, and anything?
I want to thank you for taking the initiative, the Fly Tires. Thank you for taking that initiative and doing this, because it's, as you know, it's hard work and it's hard to get these things together, and there's a lot of detail and planning that goes into it, and it doesn't just happen. And so hats off to you for doing that.
Thank you.
Hopefully we make it a positive impact. It's something that we desperately need, and I think it's, again, appreciate all the efforts that you guys have put forth.
Thank you. We've had a lot of response. Flip Pudoff wrote a great article on us that's shown up a couple times. I don't know if you saw that QR code that we developed, but it was like, that was pretty neat. But a lot of learning certainly for me. I had no idea the details that this would require. I'm a visionary guy, not a minutia guy. But anyway, I want to thank everybody here for helping us along there.
I've got a question,
Sure.
Max, and I'll echo Rick's comments. Good job of pulling this all together. This is it's like double duty without a canteen. Are the 18 teams, do you have a breakdown by how many teams per lake at this point?
Right now, I've got 2 on Ann. I've got 7 on Windsor, and 9. I'm assuming it'll be 9 to 10 on Loman. The carp that are coming in on Ann they're the ones I'm feeding. and they're well-trained. Anybody with a bow that could shoot 10 feet will get them. So, but we're going to get a lot out of Windsor and Ann, I think. Loman is, I was on Loman yesterday morning with the guy doing those, and they're not reacting like I would like for them to, for one reason or another. But the other two lakes are going to respond well.
Because that could be driven by water clarity, because Loman tends to be a little more cloudy, at least right now, than the other lakes. So you may not get the visibility, they may not see the.
It looked to me like Ann was cloudier than Loman.
Okay, true.
But they were responding well. You know, if you miss a couple of routine feeds, you know, at a spot, I mean, then they forget what they're supposed to do. But I'm hoping we can get a bunch out of Loman.
Hey, Jessica, the online folks can't hear them.
That is, we just fixed it.
Okay, all right, good. Sorry, Max. Well, go ahead. So again, thanks for doing all this, and I was on Ann a couple of days ago, and I actually saw some carp in the shallows, so they're out there.
Yeah, they're there. I'm seeing 5 to 6 every morning, and they're hard to see. I mean, those are the only ones that are on the surface at one time.
Right.
So there's at least 2, 3 times that many there also.
Okay. Well, good. Thanks for the update. Appreciate it. Yeah, we granted
These guys gave me a variance for that day.
for that day only, since it's a goal for us to try to get rid of some of these carp, so we opened it up to anybody who wanted to participate for that day only. So, Trey, do you have anything?
Nope, marina is closed for the season. See everybody next April. Just a reminder that the docks, the lease docks will be closed while the lake is down. There won't be foot access because we'll be shutting the walkways down. It won't be safe to walk to them. You can still get to your boats from the water, but you won't be able to, walk out on the docks. So if anybody needs to get out there, we got to the 3rd of November. 3 inches a day. We'll probably make sure they're shut down by 2 feet. So that'll be you can do the math, but we don't know exactly what it's going to be. But
Right.
A week after they begin the drawdown will probably be when we'll have to shut them down because it won't be safe anymore.
Okay. Any questions for Trey, from anybody? Okay, so the person who brought this to my attention is not here right now, but he asked about rationale for stocking wipers in Bella Vista Lake. So a couple of the points that he brought up was that wipers, I know the food chain for a wiper is slightly different from a bass, but they still compete for some of the same food sources. We don't seem to be catching near the number of wipers this year as we have in the past, so I don't really know why that is. And based upon the fact that our fisheries are admittedly pretty low right now, we don't have any vegetation in any lakes. We have too many small bass. We've got a lot of issues we need to work on, vegetation and trying to get rid of carp. So we have multiple strategies going on to try to fix our lakes. And is the juice really worth the squeeze on stocking wipers, was his point. And most bass fishermen, when you talk to most bass fishermen, they hate wipers. I don't necessarily hate them. I think they're fun to catch, but I also think that they compete, they eat a lot of food, and they get really big. I know somebody who caught one that was over 12 pounds on Windsor not too long ago. And so a 12-pound fish of that size has to be a pretty voracious eater of bait fish. So just wanted to have a discussion about, do we continue to do this? Would it be prudent to pause the stocking of wipers? And based upon our current situation, does it even make sense to stock wipers in the future? And so I'll let you go from there.
Sure. So we originally stocked those fish way back in 2011, and I'm not entirely sure what the original stocking was. That I know that's up on the website. I could get that information pretty easy, but they were initially stocked in the larger lakes, and that's all they've ever been stocked into. But the real reason they were initially stocked was to put pressure on gizzard shad out in the open water. So hybrids or wipers are a pelagic species. They mainly want to stay out into these large open bays of the water. And that's the way gizzard shad operate for most of the year, or at least a good portion of the year. Of course, when we see the young of the year shad balls and that sort of thing, we're seeing them flush back in coves, and that's tends to be early to late summer. The wipers will go after them at that point, but they're more going to stay out into the open water. So the general idea was because not threadfin, but gizzard shad are what we call intermittent spawners. So you have to hit that magic population level and the magic nutrient level for the gizzard shad to want to spawn. We wanted to keep predation on those fish as much as possible. So you got things like largemouth bass that are going to hammer on them whenever they're back in the coves. You're going to hit them out in the main bays whenever they've gone back out into cooler water, like in the fall. Right now, everything's kind of flushing back out in the main bays. But that was the main reason why. Of course, it does provide a slightly different fishing opportunity. There are some people that really like to fish for them. They're active for a little longer than largemouth are. They come on earlier and they're active for a little longer. But the main reason was it's just a pelagic predator that sits out there in the middle of the open water and can put pressure on shad when the largemouth at a population level really aren't. And then we stock those fish about every 2 years, thereabouts. The last time they were stocked was in 24, and we did that stocking mostly just because we wanted to figure out whether or not we could grow those fish ourselves, which we were successful. We stocked 1,700 fish in 2024 in Loman, Windsor, and Ann, and they were stocked at about a rate of around 2 per acre. So for every surface acre you have, about 2 fish went in.
So will a full-size shad can get, gizzard shad, not threadfin, but a gizzard shad can get to be 10 to 12 inches long?
Or larger.
Can a wiper eat a fish that big?
Not even a 15-pound wiper can go after a fish that big. So for that, you rely on a larger predator like blue catfish that are also stocked into those lakes to go after those extremely large fish. So the general idea is you're hammering them on every side that you possibly can with whatever tool you have available. With wipers also, you don't have a whole lot of danger there because they can't reproduce on their own. It's a hybrid. They're completely sterile, so they don't have the ability to overrun. What's there is exactly what we put in. But to your point, no wiper can go after those adult gizzard shad. It's after the time of the year where they're going to tend to be most effective is whenever you have those young of the year shad that are hanging back in the coves, and then when everything is kind of retreating back into the main bay for the winter, you've got gizzard shad that the average largemouth can no longer take advantage of, but those largest hybrids still can take advantage of them. So they're kind of hammering that population before you go into winter.
Okay. And I don't know what the cost of putting these in, and I don't know how the math works on this, but I mean, I just, what would our fish population, would we have an issue with gizzard shad since they were put in to kind of control the gizzard shad population? If we didn't do them for a few years, would that negatively, do you see any really negative impacts, or is it something we can, because I know, I'm speaking from a bass fisherman's perspective, but most bass fishermen just, when you talk about wipers, they just explode.
Right. And there's, I will say there's been a number of scientific papers, I actually did a literature review on this in 2015, I think, There's been papers written specifically in this state talking about largemouth bass interactions with hybrid striped bass and even striped bass, because that's the one that the stripe part of that is what tends to get bass fishermen really up in arms about those fish. But the way the literature bears out and those scientific studies say there's not a whole lot of consumption of largemouth bass or the same prey species that largemouth go after, which is chiefly bluegill. And you could, same sort of reason why, because those fish are pelagic and most largemouth forages up around the banks. But to answer your question, in 24, we did that ourselves. We grew those fish ourselves just to kind of proof of concept. So it did not cost us a whole lot, but it's just another management tool that some years is probably more effective than others. And it's hard to know what years it is effective and what years it's really not effective at all.
So do you know, one more question, do you know, just personal experience and people I've talked to, then people don't seem to be catching as many this year as they have in the past. Is it because the population is down, or is it because conditions have changed, or the fish have aged out, or do you know what's going on with the population of wipers?
A lot of it probably has to do with they were stocked very heavily in the beginning, and we have kind of cut it back as time has went on. I'm going to imagine that first stocking was many times over that 2 fish per acre, and then this last time, like I said, it was only 2 fish per acre. So we, over time, at least in 2024, we definitely cut that stocking back from what it had previously been, and it's just not as heavy as we were once stocking those fish.
So there's probably not nearly as many, or not nearly the concentration that we had in the past.
Correct.
And I'm assuming some people take these and eat them and harvest them to boot, right?
Yes, you're absolutely correct. A lot of people, some people really like to eat them, some people not so much. But and part of the reason why it had been dwindling was they are a fairly expensive fish when we bought them, because we were buying a fish that's 8 inches long because you didn't want anything to eat them, or our already established hybrids to eat the new hybrids that were coming in. So we were buying fairly expensive fish at 8 inches long. So that's kind of the reason why in 24 we grew our own, just to make sure we could whenever we wanted to stock them.
Okay. Any questions from John or for John before we move on?
Yeah, I've got a question. I think from a strategy standpoint, we're trying to concentrate on the state's #1 game fish, which is largemouth bass.
Right.
Anything we can do, I think, in terms of vegetation, forage, habitat, to encourage a healthy fishery within the lake systems for largemouth bass is a good thing. And if we can, and if putting wipers on a 2, 3, 4 year hold until we can see the fruits of our labors in terms of some of the strategies we're trying to implement, I think that might be a good thing.
I can't speak to what Rick had planned, and obviously he's not here. The next time they would be scheduled to be stocked would be next year. I don't imagine that was in the plan, just because we are growing so many bluegill to try and put forage into Loch Lomond. So probably not something to worry about at this point, but as we were saying, they don't really compete for the same forage, but and they don't happen to eat largemouth. If they did, we wouldn't be in this kind of this pickle that we're in with the small fish. But yeah, I don't think it's going to be an issue for us for the next couple of years. But I can't speak to what Rick's plans were, but
So
certainly noted.
Echoing on Scott's point, if push came to shove and you had limited, which we do have limited resources, I personally much rather see us stock bluegill, additional bluegill
Right, right.
into the lakes versus wipers.
Right, and that is the strategy, at least I know for the next year, because that's what those production ponds that we've got right now, they're going full bore with nothing but bluegill.
Okay. Anybody else? Go ahead.
When was the last time you stocked a blue catfish?
I do not know off the top of my head. It is on our stocking report. It's been a while. I do know that. I don't think it was in '24.
So you guys aren't using the blue catfish to address the gizzard, but they will eat gizzard, but that's not something you guys have focused on.
Right. We tend to stock a whole lot more channels, and then incidentally, we stock the blues whenever we can. But again, it's one of those things where we didn't want an incredibly high concentration of another predator, in the lake. And of course, they're always fun whenever you hang into a 80-pound blue cat, but not something we wanted a ton of, because blue cats are indiscriminate. They will eat just about anything they can get their mouth on.
Including hybrid vipers.
Or largemouth, or
largemouth.
bluegill, or anything else. They are exclusively piscivores, and that includes any fish.
Before we go to the guest, or the meeting for November and December is typically combined into one day. And Jessica asked me the other day, I put out there December 3rd for the meeting. For Wednesday, December 3rd would be the meeting for both November and December. Hopefully, most people can attend that date. And we have that on schedule, correct? December 3rd. So before we conclude today, I wanted to make sure everybody knew that date. Don't show up on the second Wednesday of November, because there won't be a meeting that day. Okay, with that, any other questions before we go to the audience? Any other questions from anybody? Okay, I'll take that as a no. So, sir, I think you in the back, you had something you wanted to say?
Pat Turley, One Rath Circle, Bella Vista.
Okay.
Question about the activities or what's hoping to be accomplished with the drawdown. I know that we're talking about some repairs at the launch ramps. Does that include dredging, or is it into the channel, or is it just the ramps and docks?
Kind of all of the above. There is a lot of wash-in, especially in that Granton area, as you probably noticed. I'm not sure how much is there right now due to this new rainfall, but there's always fresh wash-in, it seems like, in that area. So we will be removing material that we can't get to whenever the lake does come down. And as always, with any drawdown, that gives us a great opportunity to inspect the bottom of those boat ramps and that sort of thing, see where prop wash has occurred. It's also a great time to repair docks, and we'll be doing that, concentrating big time on Loch Lomond's courtesy docks and that sort of thing to make sure they're back up to snuff before the lake comes back up.
Thanks. I had one other question that gets to fishing. I do notice from time to time there's guys out, or I don't see them do it, but I see these look like round floaties that are just moving around the lake without a boat attached to them. Is that a fishing method?
Yes, so that is it's called jugging, and sometimes it's called that because a lot of times it'll be a 1 gallon milk jug, but
I've seen those too.
modern methods don't look like that. Usually you'll have a pool noodle or something like that, but it could be just a 2-liter Coke bottle as well. But just a line attached to a float with a bait, and then the fish takes the bait, and we'll tug it around until they can go check their jugs.
Yeah, I've seen a couple in my cove just recently, and they're out there for a day or two and just wandering around, and I don't know if there's somebody going to come get them. And then eventually they do disappear. I just don't see it. But that's an approved method, and are those commercial fishermen, or are they?
No, it is an approved method according to Arkansas Game and Fish. Now, they should not be out when you're seeing them, it sounds like. So if you see those in the broad open daylight, they should be picked up by that point in time. And they're allowed to be fished overnight, basically, so sundown to sunup. But they should be gone by mid-morning.
Yeah,
But
I've seen them, I haven't seen one in a week or two, but it seemed like I saw a concentration of them a week or two ago, and they were just floating across the bay all day long.
sounds like somebody's jugs got away from them. But it is approved. It's not
Okay.
something we see a whole lot in small impoundments. It's more of a river fish
I haven't
type
seen them
thing.
in a while. It seemed like a couple years ago I saw more of them, but they just popped up again. But that's fine. I just wanted, I'd never seen it or heard of it. I just want to make sure it wasn't some commercial endeavor I hadn't heard
If
of.
you see some out and they've been out there for a while, just call the lake rangers. We'll come by and pick them up.
Okay, all right, good. Thanks very much.
All right, thank you.
Appreciate your time.
Sir, blue shirt, do you have anything to say?
Afternoon. I'm Billy Beveridge, Loch Lomond, Stony Creek Cove. A meeting or two ago, we brought some concerns about the violations, the no-wake zones and stuff like that. And Mr. Judson was here, and I think he whispered to you or somebody that he had an idea about empowering our lake rangers to go forth and pick up those violators or issue citations or something to them, and if that are violating our lake regulation rules and regulations. And I wonder if anything has came up with that or been proposed, or where are we at with that?
So there was a meeting of a select group of us, and they did come up with a proposal for a boating violation fee. And it was taken to the Rules and Regs Committee yesterday. And further discussion will take place by the full board, POA board, on 10/16.
The proposal would be taken to the board on that?
On 10/16,
Okay.
this month. And basically there's three different levels, and then there's violations of first offense, second offense, and a third offense. Again, it's not final, but we did discuss it, and the board will do I don't know if it'll be a final discussion on 10/16, but we're trying to get it all finalized so that it can be part of the 2026 rules and go into the rules booklet for 2026.
But it will empower the lake rangers to provide citations against.
Basically the citation would be, and again, I don't want to misspeak here, but it's a boating violation fee, so that if a person incurred a fee when they went to register their boat the following year, for example, if it was a $100 fee, they would have to pay that $100 in order to get their stickers for the following year.
Oh,
And we would offer an incentive to, if you want to pay it early, you would pay, if your fine was $100, you could pay the fine early, $50, if you went to the POA office and paid it early. Uh-huh.
I think you probably should view the meeting next Thursday morning,
Yeah.
the work session, because what Matt is saying has been
Okay, sorry about
modified.
that. Okay,
But it basically is a means to get the attention of voters who misbehave. And it involves dollar penalties.
and suspension of rights possibly, I mean.
That's a possibility. There is a time frame attached to settle the fine that's levied. And if beyond a certain date, suspension of membership privileges is a possibility.
Okay.
Did I get that all
Are you mad?
yes,
Okay, I CC'd you on a text,
I got it.
you and Bob, and, yeah, that hopefully applies to the maintenance boats as well.
It does.
Okay, looking forward to that, thank you very much.
Okay, anybody else, sir, back? Sir? Max, you want to say something else? Go ahead.
Yeah, I want to be careful here what I say, but there's kind of talk in a narrow circle around the fly tires that we might have another tournament based on small bass, an elimination tournament. And I'm not here advocating it. But if we meet again in early December, I'd like to know if there's any discussion or concerns or possibilities there.
I think that would be a great idea, and I personally would fully support that, because I think we need to do something along those lines also. So I think, based upon what I know about the committee members, I think that would be well supported.
Yeah. I think we'd have a lot of participation in something like that. You know, be a few of us could fillet and we whip it out, a lot of them out in a short order, so.
Agreed. So, yeah, let us know.
No. I don't want to advocate for it.
Oh, I think you're not doing it. I thought you were proposing it.
You got this all wrong.
Okay. So this is not a fly, this is not a fly tire event. You're
No.
proposing. Okay.
Not doing this again.
It's way too soon. But it would be something I think would be fun and helpful.
I agree, and we did have a fish fry, we did have a deal last year, we did, and I think Pavilion, I was out of town, but I think they fried a bunch of fish up at the Pavilion, and people brought fish in to be fried, that sort of thing, so, yeah, that's something we probably need to look at again.
You know, a limit of, I don't know, 12 inches and lower or something like that, or 14, 15, whatever works the best, so.
Okay, thanks, appreciate it. Sir?
All right, I'm just coming here. I used to use the lakes a lot. I used to work third shift until I tell people I got retarded 3 years ago, but I've had 2 back surgeries and neck surgery. And I'm seeing things going on at the lake that hasn't been that way since I've been here in '04. You can't walk the bank and on the lakes. I went down to Brittany the other day. You can't walk that lake, and people had a sun tarp on the cleaning dock there, where you wouldn't be able to go clean a fish or whatever if you wanted to. He must have had 20 people on the dock swimming around and all that. I haven't seen a ranger come up and check a card in years. I don't know if they still do it or not. And I'm just saying, I went to the last meeting, it shows how far back it goes, at Reardon Hall, and I talked to the head guy of the BOA. I said, my grandbaby said, Papa, can you take me fishing? So I started going around and I looked where to take her. I can't walk the bank. She's too short to throw over your railing. So he tells me to take her to the pontoon park at Reardon. Not Reardon, but Windsor. Well, I go down there and I didn't know you guys were drawing down the lake. So there was no water to fish on. So we had to go over to Avalon and fish on that bank on the other side of the boat ramp down there. And fish there, and you're not really going to catch anything. But it's just the idea. I got 4 lots and a house here in Bella Vista, and I'm being told where I got to go fish. That don't make sense to me. And then I'll find out now that you can only have 5 people per card. You used to be able to take as many as you want. Okay, and to me, that's not right, because I could actually, my son, my daughter, my wife, and myself, we have the house in 4 lots. I could take more photo IDs. I could take about 60 people down there if I wanted to. But it's all this stuff is changing. And like I heard the B&Bs, like you talk about registering their boat, I heard they don't have to register their kayak or their canoes to go on the lake with a sticker. And I see here Chuck use words I would never want to use again when they didn't have a sticker on their trailer and he had to get the boat and go out and chase the guy down. So how's the ranger supposed to police that? Who's supposed to be on the lake, who's not supposed to be on the lake, and all that, So it's just, and I heard talking about stalking wipers. I don't know why you want to keep putting predators into the lake. When I hear these bluegill people said they're not getting the count they used to or the size. And I didn't hear nothing about stalking trout. You got the docks there on Brittany. I used to go down by where you had the water pipe there, and that's where I used to fish for the trout. Now you got 5 people on that one dock, 5 people on another one, and I don't know how many you can put on there by the boat ramp, but I can't fish the bank. So now you got 10 people that can fish, and I can't fish at all.
Okay, sir, your time's up. So I'll address a couple of things and hopefully, my friend here can address some of the others. For ranger checks, I live on Brittany and I'm out there almost every day, and I can tell you the lake ranger, almost every afternoon is out there checking IDs. Almost, I mean, I can't say it's every day, but they're out there a lot. Stickers on rental boats or, people coming in from out of town, what have you, they have to have a sticker. Now, I'm not saying people don't violate the rules sometimes, but there's never been a change in the rules. They need to have their stickers on their boats. They definitely need to have a sticker.
Change the rules on fishing and what?
I said, there's no change in the rule on that. You have to have a sticker. You have to have a sticker on your boat to operate it legally.
I heard he wasn't gonna do that for the BOP.
That's not true.
On their canoes and their kayaks.
That's not true.
Okay.
That's not true.
And then again, too, I asked you earlier about, are you tearing down the fishing house? I heard that rumor came up again.
That's not true.
And I'm the one that went against Bailey and them to
Sir,
save it.
sir, your time's up, okay? We're trying to address your issues. John, do you have any other?
Sure. So like when you were talking about the sunshade that's down there, when you see that sort of activity, I'll get you the lake ranger number before we leave. There's a hotline you can call to get a lake ranger, down to where you are. They can take care of someone that's trying to take up an entire dock, that sort of thing. The 5 guests that you were referencing, so that is a thing that is specifically attached to a dependent card. So as you're not a dependent, that
I'm
is.
sorry, can I come closer?
Sure, or I could go over this with you after we get
Because
done.
I wear hearing aids and I'm getting an echo, I'm sorry.
Can you hear me a little better if I get closer? So the 5 guests, that's specifically for a dependent card. So a dependent card,
An appendix, what's that card is?
a dependent, like if you have a child and they have a POA card,
Okay.
that's specifically for a dependent. So as you're not a dependent, that would not apply. And then lastly, the trout stocking has never changed. We'll be stocking those in November, next month, just as soon as.
Like I said, though, you're limiting the use of the lakes by not cleaning up the dams. I can't walk the bank. I can't go fishing on the bank on Brittany and fish for trout.
I can talk to you about that after.
Okay.
After.
Okay, any other comments, questions, concerns on any topic before we wrap it up? Okay, meeting adjourned. Thank you.